book, if you edit in that, it will stay there forever, and you cannot search it. Also, the next thing is the backlight technology allow you to read book in the dark. You can accurately cannot read book in the dark. And also, ebooks price are relatively cheaper than books. Most ebook in the Kindle store sell at $9.99 and some even lower. But the cost to purchase a hardcover or paperback is more expensive because it includes the cost to print the book, to ship the book, and for all cost for personnel. So ebooks are much cheaper than books. However, the print book also have some advantage compared to the Kindle. The print book has no startup investment. The price of the Kindle is $69, but with that price you can buy 10 books. So why the need for the Kindle when you can buy 10 books and you can read for a year? Also, the print book has a book-like feeling. As some person that I know, like a lot of them, prefer the book-like feeling, the feeling of turning the pages compared to pressing the button, and the book still have some feeling for people, and that's why not a lot of people like the new feeling that they feel in the e-readers. And the book I found very convenient because I buy print book most of the time on Amazon. Simply it can be resold at a much cheaper price. At a cheaper price, but at least I get the book at a much cheaper price. So the book can be lent, can be borrowed, or can be resold. Why the ebook? You cannot do it because it is DRM. The print book is durable. Why I say so? You can drop the book, you can pour water in the book, it's still readable. But with the Kindle, it broke. And why the Kindle had long battery, has very convenient and easy software, but the print book doesn't need for battery, software, or any update at all, so it's easy to use. So this figure, we see that the adoption rate of e-readers in different countries. So even though that about 7% of the US population own an e-readers, as much as 35% person in Germany haven't heard of the term e-reader yet. So the product adoption rate in country varies, and one of the contribution factor is not most of the ebook are available in different language rather than English. So that's why US and UK are leading in the adoption rate in the e-reader. So next slide, we will discuss about the future of publishing. Despite the rapid growth of ebook, the sales of the traditional books still grow at a steady rate. And we know that consumers spend 1.8 billion buying books in 2009 alone. And the book production grew 1,000% during the period of 2002 to 2010. And also the US print output still increased by 5% in 2010, except even though that year marked the dramatically reduced price for e-readers. So let's see that we can consider the books to be the anti-fragile method, because it has withstood the effect of TV, personal computer, and the internet, so it still remains popular in either area. It's like now we mostly buy the book in the MP3 in iTunes store, but we can still buy the newly released CD on Amazon. Next, I offer some recommendation for Amazon to try in the next area. The first offer, as a college student, I would say that Amazon should jump into the textbook market, and it's doing it right now. Because as a student, I found the book is very heavyweight, and a book can weigh up to 2 pounds. And also, the Kindle doesn't have like the color, so it cannot display all textbook correctly. And also, the screen is pretty small. If it's not a Kindle file, you cannot display the textbook correctly. So Amazon need to address this. And as we know that the young reader are amongst the demographic that have a high adoption rate for e-readers. So Amazon really have to focus on this. The second would be the strategy versus Apple. And this is interesting because why Amazon is offering its global strategy, it doesn't offer Kindle Fire to be sold globally. And the Kindle Fire can only be sold in the US market. And that's why, and Apple products are sold globally. So the iPad is still having the highest market share of tablet in worldwide compared to Amazon. And with the iPad mini release, Amazon need to think seriously about how to compete with Apple with a newly introduced device. The next will be book in multiple language. As a two figure we see before, we see that the reason for low adoption rate is probably the book are not available in different language. If we can increase the book available in different language in the Amazon Kindle store, we probably have more buyers in Germany and Netherlands heard more about the term e-readers, and they probably buy more Amazon products and e-readers. And next, I talk about the color e-ink Kindle. This is important because we know that most of the textbooks now are colored, and a lot of the books like comic, manga, and so forth use color. So a color e-ink is important, as we know that now e-ink can only show the non-color one, the black and white version. So Amazon needs to think a strategy to offer the color e-ink to its customers before of the Nook and Sony readers, because it needs to be the first mover in this market. And also Amazon needs to improve its retail channel. Why? Because Amazon products are sold mostly online. As we know, the Kindle, it have very prominent features, but a lot of customers don't want to buy the product until they see the product, they touch and they feel it. So that's why now Barnes & Noble are processing this strategy to offer Nook in all the store. Why Amazon lose Target and Walmart as a retailer? Because they just fear that Amazon, they fear the idea of the customer come to the store to touch, to feel the product before they go to Amazon and buy the product to avoid the sales tax and enjoy lower price. So the idea of showrooming are threatening Amazon, Walmart and Target's business. So they drop the Kindle line. So Amazon needs to rethink of this strategy and expand its retail business. In conclusion, so follow my thesis. I see that ebooks and e-readers are becoming a major force of influence in the book publishing industry. We cannot deny that because ebooks are the rising star. As the nearest estimation, that ebooks is having 25% of books sold in the US. So with the new Kindle, Amazon has all the criteria needed to be competitive in the e-reader world. It's the market mover, and also with the Kindle, it's the cheapest device, and it has a very high bargaining power. So the Kindle provides value to the customer, and we cannot deny that Kindle will also benefit author and publisher in numbers of ways. It increases the author's revenue and profit by offering KDP, and benefit publishers by offering more books to sell online, so more people can afford to buy the ebook instead of paying for the book which is more expensive. However, the publishers still get more profit because the ebooks are relatively cheaper to produce than printed book. So with all of the above, the Kindle has changed and is changing the publishing industry, and it have a very prominent future if its processes strategy. And Amazon has made the right move for the Kindle. So it's going to be the end of my slideshow. I'll accept all questions and recommendations and advice from the product committee. And all the questions, I try to explain it to you. So thank you for listening.
Well, I'm still thinking. Are you question?
I'm not, you answered almost everything we gave you, so that's good. So I have
of you own an e-reader yet, like a Kindle Nook or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the only other thing you could address, and that wasn't something we brought up earlier, but the pricing issue, the
Mhm.
fact that the marginal cost of producing an ebook is near zero because it's a digital product, whereas for a physical book there is a cost. And when you look at the prices that they are sold in the market, most ebooks are sold at pretty close to the cost of the hard, definitely more than the paperback in many cases.
Yes.
And the self-publishers are different. There are some of them that have sold for 99 cents or less. But the regular mainstream publishers still want a price that's very close to the hardcover.
I
And
see.
that's a challenge for Kindle, because why would somebody buy a virtual book for 18 bucks when you can get the paper version for probably less if it's on paperback? And I think that's going to be a long-term challenge until all the publishers switch, or the authors switch publishers in the whole process.
I see. That's a very interesting point.
I think especially, well, in, almost on, sort of on the opposite end, with the publishing industry, with the textbooks, and the challenge of that, what a lot of the textbook companies are doing are publishing within their own format, that you can only rent the book and they're charging a higher amount for it, or you can only look at it within their web page format, that you can't actually put them on there. And a textbook is not something that Amazon can necessarily very easily self-publish. And in terms of their that might be something that they start looking towards, and if it's whoever is going to break into that market and really take over, that's something that they're going to have to start, is creating that network to identify professors or whatnot who can create the content for those textbooks that they can hold on to. And then you also have the challenge of it's got to be if you go to a university, you can't force every student in every class to have your device. So if you are going to self-publish textbooks, it has to be readable on multiple devices.
Agnostic.
You can't, so that's actually something I think that between Nook and Kindle, that it's probably something they're going to have to work out together rather than separately, because the books are going to have to be readable on both of their devices. So that's, something to look into in terms of
I see.
future direction and how to, part of that strategy of breaking into.
Exactly.
I don't know if you ran across anything about that or.
Yeah, I will address this issue in my revision. Actually, because most of the book I bought is not like in Kindle format. It is like my math lab, my science labs and something like that. Is, I never buy a textbook on Kindle as a requirement by professors. So that's a very interesting issue, and Amazon need to address this.
You said that you sell ebooks?
No, I sell books, just books.
Oh, books. Okay. I think that there are some kind of typos here and there that has to be fixed. You folks have to take care of that. As an example, like on page 1, you said that are often classified into hardware independent.
Yes.
And hardware independent. No, I think it should be hardware dependent.
Oh, okay.
So, as an example, like if I go to, page 2, like, that the very last sentence is grammatically not right. Although are made widely popular recently, ebooks are not new. There must be a subject missing there. So,
I see.
those are the things I'm noticing. But also you have in stylistic way, like with where we any space. Some places you have spaces. So you look at that. Then, you know, a few other things like, yeah, I got that. Like, you first mentioned that the e-book buyers have lesser bargaining power than consumers of printed books. And then you later gave the competition is there too. So I think like there could be a little bit refining.
Conflict, right?
Refining those sentences. And again, like on page 7, I see, I couldn't understand that. Let me read it to you. Buyers purchase books are stored in their Amazon's accounts, and while cloud provides convenient. Cloud, you know, no capitalization or anything. So what that cloud means?
Okay.
Cloud.
I think it's lowercase. The cloud refers to
It's
net-based services.
Huh?
It refers to net-based services.
Okay.
Anything on the internet.
Oh,
So
okay.
it would come as the cloud.
Oh, it's a new word?
Yeah.
So I was not.
In our lingo, it's
That's
the
why the
cloud.
cloud provides. So I thought that it should be capitalized if something.
Yeah, but
Proper noun kind of thing, you know, but
I guess
I've seen it,
I guess.
I've seen it both. in there.
both ways.
both ways. I think then capitalization will be better,
Yeah.
Okay.
because, you know,
Or you could footnote it and say.
yeah, that will make clear that
I see,
is-
make it clear.
It's a, yeah.
I think initially it was more lowercase, but as when you see commercial, or as they
The cloud,
became,
right,
as
right.
a marketing item, it became the cloud. So, yeah, so I think that would be appropriate.
You know, on the same page, 7, I saw besides electronic devices, printed books and public library are still high substitutions. Better substitutions, or, you know, larger in numbers, like, you know, high doesn't really carry the meaning there.
I see. Yeah, I write like.
noticed that I liked your thesis, so I read a lot.
Thank you.
You know, I'm reading 24 theses.
Oh my God.
24. So, you know, there's a
Thank
lot.
you for paying attention to my thesis.
I see, like, you know, this should be corrected, like on page 11.
Okay.
You said that the Kindle has the lightest weight
Yes.
compared to other e-books readers in the market. The next sentence, which is only 5.98 ounces, compared to the Nook.
The Nook is yeah,
You
it's
said 0.47 ounce.
ounce. I see. I should
So
put it
the
like
Nook is very, very light.
it's pound actually.
It's 1/10.
Put it in the.
No, but
I
your
see.
mistake is there, you know.
Yeah.
I see.
That, you know, your sentence makes it 1/10. But I think like that.
That's pound
Decimal is
actually.
the wrong place.
I just looked at that yesterday and was like, wow, I did this mistake. Oh,
Yeah,
the Nook is so
that-
light.
That you should make a correction.
Put it in the same, it'll be either both in ounces or both in pounds.
Yeah, make sure like you keep space after those sub-headlines and
Okay.
headlines, you know, that looks, like on page 12, as an example, I picked 12, because they're on the same page.
Mhm.
Your sub-headline doesn't have any space. After number 4, after number 5, there's a space.
Okay, so the
So that
space in
shows
line,
that,
right?
you know, even on the same page, I see that. But it's scattered everywhere.
I
So,
see.
you know, you be careful on that. I liked your self-publishing.
Mhm.
That's a very, very, you know, good point. You know, in the writing, like, you know, that you use like on page 30, you know, in the second paragraph, like Kindle direct publishing. Okay? And then you use later just the abbreviation KDP. It's better to have there a parenthetical KDP.
Okay.
You know, then, you know, people can go. If they don't understand,
I
you know,
see.
these are the, you know, buzz, I call it abbreviation.
I
It's not
see.
in standard issue. So, you know, to find it out is you know, that should be there. Okay, I like the death of a tree. So you say that.
It's there, all languages.
Yes.
Is Bengali?
Yes.
I have to use
It's been
it
there
to
for a
write
long
my
time.
own language too.
Okay, so please, no, I did not find Bengali
Yes.
in the last 3 months. Is
It's
there
been there for ages.
Bengali?
Yeah, you can try, that's the coding system that's used when you.
No, I can
code.
translate in there, I can notice that in the Google.
No, no,
I
you,
can
every,
translate.
the strangest languages are there, but the more popular ones, all the major languages have been there in Unicode.
So you make sure that your Unicode mentions that.
Right. It's in all languages.
Because
There's a
only
lot of-
few languages mentioned, it guides to a wrong impression.
Oh.
Okay? All right. Then you have, I have other, few questions for me, like,
Okay.
I don't have any Kindle. Can you print for me? Can you print, like, you're reading a book, can you print protocol?
No.
I don't think so.
DRM
You can only
printers.
print like one page. I think.
Can you copy and paste?
No.
No, so you can't code to somebody else. So you can't email from him. Okay. Now, finally, I would like to, ask other questions to you. It's an interesting, you did it very looks like, you're professors, not naive about it, but it looks very nice to me. You mentioned about Gutenberg project. Okay. And you, in somewhere in one sentence, you said that after a few 100 years, on a slide you showed the, Gutenberg's discovery. This is very interesting. Do you know which century he was? Which year he published? He got that moving printing.
15.
Movie printing. I mean,
Yeah, the moving printing machine. Like the printing machine you can make and then you can take to a factory.
You mean just the printing machine, right?
Yeah, it's a printing machine like it was in Germany. So
I believe
it
the
was in
first printing
mines.
system was made by the Chinese, and then the European copied. I think
Well,
it's like in
The
60
commercial production.
commercial
It came-
production. I see.
It came by that. That's the reason it created a revolution. It is such a revolution that it changed the world. Because it led to Renaissance, it led to Enlightenment, it led to the colonial empire of Europe. It made a big change in the world.
Exactly.
That the Gutenberg is considered as one of the inventions that.
Actually, yeah, I thought that was something in that, I looked over it, is that, and I couldn't remember if you, when you talk about it, the reason it's called, and then are you aware of what Project
Yeah,
Gutenberg
the
is now?
Gutenberg, they named it. They named it.
They named
Gutenberg
that, right,
Project
yeah.
because of the
Because
grades,
of that,
right,
yeah, but I was wondering
because-
if you didn't really say very much about what Project Gutenberg was now, but why it's named that.
It's very
It's
interesting.
really, and relating it back to the fact that you're talking about something that's basically the revolution in publishing that hasn't taken place until since,
Oh, I
since the
see.
same, do you understand? Since the invention basically, of the printing press or the public whatever, or,
1839.
so,
No, sorry.
in other words, you're,
1439.
1439
you need
it
to,
came.
right,
Wow.
That printing.
Okay.
yeah. So you need to
1439.
say kind of what,
Like after
Going-
the
yeah.
printing.
It created a
Yes.
thing like, that looks like this book technology.
Mhm.
If I can use a generalized term, the digital book technology is going to be something which is going to be like almost like Gutenberg. It's going to change the world. Like you never know, like maybe Facebook can couple, intertwine with it, the book technology, then it reaches 2 billion people right away. You see? So a lot of things will unravel as the time progresses. So, this is a very good one, and you can just, give a little reference. Well, my questions are over. You folks, you're done? Okay. Can you all go out?
Sure.